Hey everybody, old Jaybird here. I woke up, I think about 4 o'clock this morning, and it's supposed to be raining. I think I heard some rain a little while ago, but it's like 90 to 100% chance then this afternoon. But anyway, it's turning a little cold, and of course, I got my alarm set. I'm gonna get up and go check on old Daisy, make sure go ahead and feed her, and like I do every day. Make sure she's all right. But what I'm actually making this video for is about the Air Venturi AVA Regulator. It's machined almost like any other regulator. Okay? The problem is within itself, and it's a pain in the butt because you have to use some type of heat, which I used a torch on the part that goes down into the gun first, not that screw nut at the top. The bottom part of the regulator will unscrew with like some of them snap pliers or something. Has them two fangs on it. I used a pair of angle ones and I couldn't get nothing done, but I put a little bit of heat just to the outside of the regulator until I got it moving, and it took me about 3 times of heating it up, and I had a heavy duty fireproof glove on. Anyways, when you get that part unscrewed, it's like that piece that I broke that I thought unscrewed. Well, it did unscrew. But I used magnifying glasses and my glasses, and I even got a pair of 2.0 seeing glasses so I can tell what the hell's going on. Reading glasses, that's what I meant. Anyhow, you undo it, and what you're going to find is whatever they sealed it with is going to crystallize up, I guess, from the heat. So it's some kind of glue or whatever. Then you'll pull out your plunger with your bevel washers. Okay. The other parts of this thing that housing, nothing else comes apart in it. So, I took a long 1/4 inch drive hex head socket. It's pretty long, that, and then I had an extension, and I put that in my battery drill, or impact rather. Then I put some 2-sided sticky tape on it. All right. Then I applied cotton to it that would fit tight, and if it didn't fit tight on one spot, I had to add another piece of sticky tape to the outside of the cotton just to make it, the daggum thing ain't but yay long. The whole little housing part with the screws that you turns right here, we got it upside down. Anyways, and I went and I got the JB weld, which was sort of kind of a little thick. So hey, I didn't heat it hard, real close, but I heated around it until it was almost like runny peanut butter. Then I hurry up and stuck the cotton down in there. In that, I hope I didn't say JB weld. That polish. uh, JB bore polish. Yeah. Anyways, and got plenty on there. Well, you don't really need much, but there was a lot that come out there on that cotton. Then I stuck it inside the housing. Now just remember this. You'll see what I'm saying if you decide to take one apart. And I went to work on it. Now, with that little battery impact, probably max of 10 minutes. Now there's a piece in the bottom of that housing, like you would think that screw that you turn from the top would come apart. No, nothing else comes apart. This is all machined together. So, anyways, upside down, cup side up. There's a little tit. I'll get some pictures, I hope, of a little seat in there. Okay? And I think that's just to hold the plunger in place, but anyway, I polished that shit too. Then I took the bevel washers off of the plunger stem, and I polished them separate. Each one. Same order. I mean, I had 22, 23 bevel washers in the order they go in, and I use the compound, and anyways, polish. I did with each one for a couple of minutes. Then I started work on the plunger itself, and on the end that goes into that little piece down there that I'm calling it, it's like a little tit, but it's concave, that I polished also. But I polished the top of the bevel of the plunger. I mean, I'm making everything smooth. There ain't no sense in doing it. You're going to half-ass it. If you have a little bit of creep, don't worry about it. Just pick your gun up empty, cock it, and shoot it until your reg level's out and you're good to go like that. But I'm wanting a digital gauge, which I'm fixing to order off of Amazon or whoever has one around here. I'm going to get a digital gauge. It ain't going to be expensive. I'm going to try to go as cheap as possible on it. Because the same ones that we get here are made down there in China. The regulators are made down there in China. They just engrave the different names on the damn things. So it ain't no big deal. But if I was to get a regulator, I would get one that's supposedly set at 3,000 psi, but rated for the 4,500 or 300 bar 4350 input from the air cylinder or air supply on the rifle, the bottle. And make sure you got to look that it has the burst disc have to be or should be from 5,000 to 7,500. Other than that, when you fill your bottle up to the 4350, you'll blow them off. You go, well, what happened here? Well, you blew out the burst disc. So then you got to replace them. I replace most all my burst discs with 4,500 psi. That's the ones I happen to find, I think, Amazon. And I ordered them, and anyways, they come in, it was like 4,500 psi. You could put it on a 4,350 fill rifle. 300 bar fill, 350 4,350 psi, 300 bar fill. All right, so make sure all that mess is in line. If you happen to get an underrated burst disc because you went to a per se 1800 psi output. I forgot what bar that is, but I think it's like 140 or somewhere's in that area bar. Be sure you look at the burst. All it is unscrew it, pull the little end off, put the new 4500 on there, put the little, it's a little round thing, push it back on there and screw it in, put some Teflon on it. Liquid Teflon really works really good. But if you don't have it, Teflon tape is fine. And screw all that down. That'd be for like an external regulator if you add one, which should bolt up right up to your gun and then your bottle. But anyways, back to the Avenger. So I polished all this, the guts of this thing. I polished that little cap, 2-hole, I had to unspin with some snap ring pliers. Once I got it loose, and I polished the top of it, but I ran a Dremel brush around the threads, like unscrewing it, which is counterclockwise, and the same thing on the little cap itself. I cleaned all that glue or whatever the hell it is off. Now, on that's attached to that cap is that little stem. You would think the plunger goes down into the stem, a hole all the way down, blah, blah, blah. It don't. Okay? It just sits there. But I polished everything I could after I pulled a couple of O-rings out. On the very end of that, there's that little white disc looking thing that goes into the gun first. And when you screw it in, when it stops, barely. When it stops, you stop. Don't think, oh shit, unscrew it. All right, but the next thing you're gonna do, because you done polished the whole regulator now, and I've still got a question on that little white disc, because when you shine a light underneath it and you look down the hole, the little pinhole, you see white light or whatever color light. You could be somebody that likes to use red light. Hey, you're going to see red. But anyhow, then on the air gun itself, I got to tomorrow I'm going to look in there really good. And I'm going to see if there are some O-rings around, any O-rings down in there, because then I'm going to have to get them out. I seen a little, like, cone shaped, comes up, where the air comes in at, probably. I'm going to look at that. I need a bore snake, but I'm going to use magnifying glasses and I'm going to find out, see if I can get a picture of that in there, and see if there are any O-rings in there that I got to take out. That's around inside the gun. So if I remove them, if there's anything in there, blah, 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 then I'm going to take that cotton on that drill again with my little setup of the It's about yay long. The little adapter that goes into a 1/4 inch socket, that's about, I don't know, I think it's 5/16. I think it fits the nut. I need to check that. The nut, where you screw in with the screwdriver? It has a hex head on it. Your slot has a hex head on it. And I'm going to see what that is, because I had to hold it. I forgot what wrench I used, because I used a wrench and some tape and a glove the whole time I was doing the inside. But anyhow, I'm going to look down in there, see what's going on, but I'm going to use the cotton setup, and I'm going to polish that out in probably 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, I don't know. Depends on how rough it looks. But, okay, to reassemble, I had to clean everything using just a big bottle of alcohol. Okay, there is a little hole on the housing, on the main housing, the part with the screw in it. It has a little vent hole right there. Make sure you clean that out. Okay. Being I didn't take out that little white looking flat piece on the other end of it. There is a little hole in there, but there's nothing. It's pretty hard to polish, but I got it done anyways. Now, reassembly, after you clean it with alcohol and make sure all the, there's no gunk in there anywhere. It's none of that polish. You don't do nothing. If you want to do anything, which I did, regular WD-40, there's no O-rings in there. And I squirted that, shook it around also after the alcohol, and dumped it. But WD-40 is not a lubricant. Therefore, you gotta let it dry, and it'll dissipate. And put all the Belleville washers exactly the way everything was supposed to be, and then slide it in so everything's smooth. When you put the little cap on, I suggest some blue Loctite, couple drops, and then screw that on there, and then get them little things, and anyway, tighten it up real good. During the course of all the spraying and the washing, first washed with alcohol, and then sprayed off with WD-40 because it has pressure to make sure the little holes and everything was good and everything was loose. Belleville washers and so on like that. The washer inside, I think on that plunger, I use some Ballistol one time, but the other time I used just a touch of silicone grease. But that's the only thing, because the rest of it needs to be dry so it can do its thing. I put all that back together. Silicone the O-rings for the outside. Tomorrow I'm going to polish the inside of that chamber that's on the gun. Man, I need a bore snake, because I want to see if that little part that comes up to a cone, like a cone shape, where the stem of if they meet. Because if they meet right there, that's where you're getting your marks at on your little white piece, Delron, Teflon, whatever, that's in the regulator. That's where you're getting your marks at. Also, on that end with the little white thing, the disc, I figure eight and polished on a flat 8,000 jewelry piece, 8,000, but I didn't do it dry. I put a little ballast off, and I made figure eights. It was sitting on a piece of glass table top that I had, and it kept the same everything, but I kept looking at it until these little bitty machine marks disappeared. I guess that's how they got that white disc in there. They put this thing all together. They turn it upside down on that screw head. Then they put the little disc in there, in some kind of way they apply pressure, bend the lip over. I do know they'll burn out real quick. A little bit of heat, it's gone. All you see is your pinhole for your air fill, for your regulator. Anyhow, you can actually shake it, hear a little noise, and hey, we're okay. But like I say, tomorrow I'm going to do the best I can as far as on the gun itself is polish that chamber up. See if that little cone piece where the air comes out, I guess, because it's got like an 1/8 inch hole in it, is flat. But then that part really don't matter if it's flat, because when you unscrew it to let pressure in it, it comes off of that little cone thing. So unless you got it that gum near closed, it shouldn't affect you. But you ought to be able to unscrew the regulator clockwise about a 16/8 of an inch, or 1/8 of a turn. Once you have your air supply done, tubes or bottle attached, this isn't being installed in the gun, the regulator, and your air is going, and then crack it open. I cracked it open to 2,000 psi so far. I set the reg at that. The findings so far, after sitting, I've let it set a couple of days. I went back. It may have moved on the regulator gauge about half a regulator needle, just a needle, half of that little needle. I guess maybe 25 pounds psi. All right, I shot it yesterday. I shot it hard because what I mean by hard, I didn't have any ammunition or projectile rather in the barrel to slow it down. So I did 5 of them, and it came up okay. The same position, just half of that needle off of 2,000. So I let it sit a little bit, about an hour. Went back, cool, same spot. Then I shot 5 of the heaviest projectiles I have, which are 40 grain projectiles. I think they're 40. They're on my 177. Yeah, I have a bunch of different weights, and the daggum thing, it's actually too big almost for the magazine. That's how long they are. But you can get them in there. Certain mags are a little bit different. Other than that, I'd have single loaded it. Anyway, I shot 5 projectiles out of it. Now that was with 2,000 psi reg set, a fresh fill, which, by the way, before I started, I let the air out of it. Shot it, cleared all the air out of it completely. Closed it back off. The bleed valve, the bleed screw. Aired it back up to the same 4,000 psi pressure. Okay. The gun's rated for 4,350. Okay, here we go. I shot the 5. I waited 2 hours. I shot 5 dry fires. I waited another 2 hours. I shot 5 more heavy projectiles. The reg still said about 25 pounds of creep, I guess. That's why I want the digital regulator. That way I can tell for sure what's what. But I'm fixing, like I say, I'm fixing to order some. From sitting from 2 days ago to that to just a half a needle. I mean, it's on that little 200 psi. 2,000 psi mark, and it's a half a needle over. I'm just guessing that's 25-pound pressure for sitting after 2 days of actually doing all the polishing and everything. And I just checked it, and it's still the same spot. So, yep, they're bullshit regs. I think the machining's the worst part of the whole damn thing on the inside, but that's just me. Of course, everybody that would get into it would agree, but you can shake it. You can hear, you can hear everything. Screw it in, set it at whatever you want. I picked 2,000 just because it's an even number, and I went slow until it. And I'd wait a few minutes, and it would stay where I stopped it at. I'm like, hey. I tweak on it a little bit more, and it would stay where I stopped it at. But I stopped it on 2,000 psi on the little gauge. They're junk, but they give you a close reference, okay? They give you a close reference. So tomorrow I'm gonna do the chamber. After I installed it and did this, then I said, man, let me do I didn't do nothing to the chamber on the gun where the regulator goes in. So that's the next step. But that's where we're at right now. A half a needle over. The needle split on the 2,000 psi mark. But when I get them electronic gauge in, or digital gauge, then we'll be more closer. We'll find out what it really is. But other than that, until y'all hear from me again, that's the best I can do. You can double reg it if you want, which is no big deal. Was it AE Swede? It's not AW Swede. They make for the Avenger, I think it's $21 or $28. I don't know. I ordered some. That you screw your external reg into that, and then you screw your bottle to the back. And it only makes it about however long the regulator is, difference. But we're getting somewhere. It just takes a little time. And to do the setup, I could probably do a whole setup now that I know what's going on. I could probably do one about an hour. And that's still taking my time. Wash it up, clean it up, do everything I just did. But I'm wondering about, it shouldn't matter. Nah, forget the chamber thing on the gun. The more I think about it. You got O-ring, you got two O-rings and it seals up. I mean, what? I'd wipe it down real good. In fact, I'm going to wipe it out with alcohol. And that way I get rid of any other kind of grime or whatever. Add a little more silicone to my O-rings, and I'm going to reinstall the regulator and try to reset it to the 2,000 PSI mark again and see what kind of creep we got. 25 PSI sitting for a day and a half roughly. That's nothing. I mean, you get that fluctuation from 25 to 2,000 to 1,975. You get that, that's like 50 PSI span from 2,000, 25, and then 25. But when you cock it and you give it a few, it's with any regulator that I've ever seen, it's like non-instantaneous, so you just take your time. Cock it, close it, okay. 10 seconds have passed since all that shit happened. Shoot your gun. If you want to shoot it rapid fire, shoot it rapid fire. If you want to shoot it once every hour, is what we're looking for, that it's going to shoot the same consistency so you don't have any variation in your pressure, right? So I shot it the other day, one every hour. I tried that before I got into polishing it and everything. But the consistency stayed the same. It didn't matter if it was a needle off or a needle under 2,000 PSI. It's still that close. Now, double regging it with a decent regulator, I would still do all the polishing to that regulator that I did to this regulator, and give it a little bit higher pressure output, probably about 2,200 on external reg, but set my gun regulator to 2,000 PSI. Actually, mine is going to be lower. I think it's going to be like 1,400, and them little 10 grain JSB knockouts are flying at 975 out my critter getter. Shit. Well, y'all heard the pop on the squirrel. But that's all the update and stuff I can give you. Hopefully I have maybe more information in a couple of days. And I appreciate y'all getting to see me before I go to sleep again. Merry Christmas until then, and y'all stay safe. Peace out. Dang. I don't know how he does it. But anyways, out of work. Later.